Start recording. Stop recording. Button.
Hey, what's up, everyone? This is James, your openly gay and blind metalhead here. It's been quite a while. I've had a lot going on here the last several months. I think it was like sometime earlier this past year when I when I uploaded it. Something I can't remember, but yeah, it's been a long time. So I hope everybody's doing good. I made a quick TikTok here, it was a TikTok short here a few days ago about some stuff that was going to be coming onto my YouTube channel here soon, and so I have some time to get that done now. One of the things I still have yet to upload is my thoughts on a few albums that I was going to talk about and a few other things, and I'll get to those over the coming days. But right now, though, I just wanted to come on here and just talk about some of the metal albums that I've been listening to lately, and just give a few of my thoughts on them. I have been listening to a lot of the Bloody Hammers album, Songs of Unspeakable Terror, that came out in January of last year, and I've been listening to that for quite a while, and it's pretty good. My thoughts on it are basically I think it's one of their best albums yet. I think that they did a really good job on the instrumentation, the lyrics, the vocals. Lyrically, of course, it has to do with dark subjects, and of course it wouldn't be a Bloody Hammers album if it didn't. That has songs on it like Hands of the Ripper, which I think that's pretty self-explanatory, like Jack the Ripper and stuff like that. And then the opening track, The Night to Dismember, is really good. Kind of brings to mind, in my view, the slasher movies like Halloween and stuff like that. And then the closing song, I Spit on Your Corpse, that closes the album, is really good. And kind of brings to mind, for me at least, and I don't know if this is what Anders Mika, the composer of the song and all the other songs, is going for, but the song kind of brings to mind other horror movies like I Spit on Your Grave, I think it's called, otherwise known as Day of the Woman. So yeah, it was a really good album. Instrumentationally, it had kind of it had the metal sound that you'll hear from them, but it also had, and there's other reviewers that have talked about this as well, it also had a kind of a punk rock kind of sound to the guitars as well. So it definitely gets 5 stars from me. And then another album that I just recently picked up and started listening to was Sacrament of Sin by the Power... well, I don't know if they're technically considered power metal, but they're kind of a mixture of power metal / folk metal. They're called Powerwolf, from Germany. And I heard one of their songs, Killers with the Cross, a couple years ago, and I found the album that it's on, which, as I said, is Sacrament of Sin, and it's a pretty good album. If you like stuff like kind of like Leviathan, Nightwish, particularly when Nightwish does their folk influence stuff, and then the musical aspects of groups like Svartset and various others, I think you'll pretty much like Powerwolf. And one of my favorite songs off of Sacrament of Sin is Demons Are a Girl's Best Friend. And I like their subtle folk influences on the album, as well as their metal / rock sounds from the guitars. The drummer is pretty good on his end of things. And the vocalist has pretty powerful vocals, kind of in an operatic sort of range. So if you... trying to think of who I could compare him to. I don't know. I'm kind of drawing a blank on that, but I mean, yeah, if you like operatic vocals in your metal, you'll pretty much like his vocals, I think. And of course, there's the other song off the album. Like I said, that I heard, the song was "Killers with the Cross." That's also off of "Sacrament of Sin." Yeah, so overall, I give that album 5 stars. And then another album that I discovered, and I thought about giving this its own YouTube video, but I think I'll just put it in here. I did a video here back early last year. I think it was just called "Goodbye Marco," and that was in reference. That title references. Well, the video itself was about the retirement of Marco Hietala from Nightwish. Those in the metal metal community who have followed him for years, as well as Nightwish, will know what I'm talking about when he put out his resignation letter, which that was a really huge blow when I read that and saw the first posting about it on Facebook. I was it's like, no, come on, come on now. This is come on. We just got over a really horrible 2020. Now we're going to start 2021 off with this. No, no, this is this isn't fair. But yeah. So, but then there was a part in the letter where he talked about Marco possibly talked about coming back to music at some point. So that left us with a little bit of hope. Now, I don't know if he's ever going to come back to Nightwish, and I don't know what they're going to be doing for a permanent bassist, which that's going to be interesting, seeing as how they have another album coming out here sometime in 2023, unless anything changes between now and whenever they think they might be ready to release it. So, but anyway, as far as Marco Hietala goes, I was looking through YouTube here back in, I think it was January of this year, and I found between January and February of this year, and I found a song called Soita, and it listed Mika, Jaakkola, and Marco Hietala, and it showed that it was from a couple months before that, so that put it right around between November and December of 2021. So I looked at it, and long story short, it's off of an album called Dark Slide Incorporated by Mika, Jaakkola. And Mika Jaakkola, who's also from Finland, the same as Marco Hietala, he plays slide guitar, and if you listen to if anybody out there listens to blues music, they'll know what I'm talking about. So he put out this album, and Soita is the opening track from it, and then on the rest of the track, or on the rest of the album, all the other tracks that are on the album are sung by Mika himself, with the exception of Soita, where Marco does his vocals, his guest vocals. So that was some pretty good news to see that. That I don't know if that's gonna, like I said, I don't know if that's gonna mean a full return to music for Marco, but I hope so. I mean, I hope it's a good sign of things to come. And so Dark Slide Incorporated is the other, it's an EP actually, with about 5 or 6 songs on it. And yeah, it's got a good blues sound, rock sound, and then even a little bit of country influences on a couple of the songs. So yeah, it definitely gets 5 stars for me. And then I've also listened to Leviathan by Therion. That's their album that came out last year. Was between January and February of last year. And it features Marco Hietala on the song Tuonela from that's the second track. And then it also has Mats Leviathan, who they've worked with before on some of their other stuff. He's also provided guest vocals. And then, of course, their typical choir soloists and orchestral soloists. So yeah, overall that was a really good album, and that also gets 5 stars from me. So yeah, all these get 5 stars from me. There wasn't really any weak points on any of the albums. Well, yeah, the only weak point, and of course it really depends on what version of the album you get, because the version of Sacrament of Sin that I got was one that has these, I think it's like 10 songs that come attached to the end of the album that are from a cover album that various other artists did of some of Powerwolf's songs, and artists that are included in this in this lineup are Epica, Leviathan, and several others. And so they basically, on the version of Sacrament of Sin that I have, it's basically the whole album itself, and then the last 10 or 11 songs are the ones from the cover album. So it's basically kind of a bonus track sort of thing. I've never really been a huge Epica fan, and it's not anything where I'm just gonna like toss the album out the door or anything like that. And then they do a good job on their cover, but that's the only kind of thing where I heard that and it's like, I can press the skip button on this from time to time. I think I'll do an album here at some point about why I'm not really the biggest Epica fan, and it's not really about the music itself, because I mean it's pretty much the symphonic slash well, it's not really death metal per se, except for some of the death vocals that you hear in it, but it's symphonic metal in terms of its instrumentation, the vocals, and all that stuff. But yeah, my dislike for Epica is a little bit more in terms of lyrical content and ideologies and stuff like that. But that's another video that I'll do here at some point. And I'm ready for the backlash from the Epica fans. No, I can listen to them from time to time, but just in very small doses. But yeah, aside from that, I still, that's really the only drawback, but even with that, I'm still going to give Sacrament of Sin a 5 out of 5. So that's pretty much what I've been listening to here lately, and I have a few other videos that'll be coming out over, I would like to say the next few days, but with me doing this pretty infrequently like I do, I don't want to make any promises. Then I'm going to address another item of housekeeping. I had a video on here talking about a second YouTube channel that I was going to make, where I would just talk about, well, I can't remember exactly what I said word for word about what I was going to talk about, but what I was planning on talking about, from what I can remember, is on the second YouTube channel was going to be just stuff having to do with LGBT issues, and just stuff that didn't always have to do with metal, or really stuff that doesn't have to do with metal at all. But I was kind of giving me some problems here a few days ago, and I was trying to go through the process to do it, and I didn't want to inadvertently double tap on something or click on something or whatever and throw settings off and mess things up. So this is still going to be, in other words, there's not going to be a second YouTube channel. It's just going to be this YouTube channel that I have right now, and this is going to have it's going to heavily feature metal-oriented content, as it has been. But then at times you guys are going to see videos on here that don't have to do with metal, such as, you'll see some videos by me that talk about a little bit about politics, but well, we'll see how much patience I have to do that, if you know what I mean. And then I'll have different videos talking about LGBT related things, blindness related things, and yeah, just anything in between. But yeah, primarily you're still going to get a lot of metal content, but again, I won't make any promises because, like I said, without me planning on it, a lot of time usually goes by in between videos for me. I just get busy with stuff and all that, and yeah, so that's pretty much what it is. And if you guys want to research any of these albums further, the ones that I talked about, they're all available on iTunes. I do know that, and I think most of them are available on Amazon as well. So yeah, if you guys like what you heard, then like the video, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Camera chooser. Back face. Camera chooser. Stop recording. Button.